Let's talk some Nations League CONCACAF football. Because we're coming in at a time where club football is taking a halt for, I believe, 17 days, and we got international football with World Cup qualification happening. But here in our region in North America, the CONCACAF Nations League is back for its fourth iteration, I believe.
I think so.
With the USA set to face off against Panama and Canada going up against my beloved Mexico. Let's start there. Canada versus Mexico. Can this Mexican side, led by Javier Aguirre, lift a title, their first Nations League title after falling short for 3 straight years, and what's been a changing of the guard up top, resulting in some interesting results? Whereas Canada, led by Jesse Marsch, is coming off of an incredible Copa America performance and has done well since then to continue winning games and get results, be it against pretty weak opponents. But the question that Canada poses is this the year that they can lift the Nations League trophy for the first time in their history?
What Canada has done with Jesse Marsch has been spectacular, man. They built an identity, and they built it quick. They got that shit up and running within a couple months, man. And like that's what Mexico have been trying to find an identity for 4 years now.
Yeah,
it's been so long for them. Canada did it overnight, and they were able to prove that it worked at the Copa America, being the best CONCACAF side and playing damn good football as well along the way. They proved in that tournament that their identity can be executed every single time. There's a really good discipline to the side, and of course you still have star power players who are so threatening offensively with Jonathan David and Alphonso Davies, man. You add in X-Factor type players like Eustaquio and my boy Schaffelberg. This team is really fun to watch, and they've actually put themselves, I would say, as the best team in CONCACAF right now. And that's what I love about this specific CONCACAF Nations League, because they can cement their position at the top of CONCACAF. They proved that it's possible at the Copa America. Now establish it by beating Mexico and then USA in the final.
I need to mention my boy Bombito as well. Copa America was incredible.
Kone as well, Ismael Kone.
Kone as well, man. They have a lot of likable players now, and the way Jesse Marsch has these guys drilled is really positive. I was looking at their call-ups, and I like the names that I'm seeing. The back line, the midfield, and the striking position. Up front, it feels like a very complete team. It's basically the same team that we saw in the Copa America, so I think it's just good to just continue that same consistency that we've seen from all of them. And for the most part, most of the Canadians that got called up are in good form right now. You know, that's great big factor for them, is being in form. I think there's a huge chance here to be able to, at the very least, defeat Mexico and make it to the final with the promise of winning that final for the first time in their history. Because on the other side, we have a Mexican team that has gone through a lot of change with Javier Aguirre, trying to build a resurgence in this team. I mean, the attitude, the identity has been very off for the past number of years for us now. And we've been looking for somebody to kind of give us that identity, give us that momentum that we need, that highlights the way that we used to play, that brings back that old Mexican style of football. Aguirre hasn't done that fully, but he has been able to get us somewhat positive results. The highlight being a friendly victory over the USA. I think what I will highlight as the biggest positive for Mexico is what's going on with their offensive players right now. Raul Jimenez has had his best year since he was in a Wolves shirt, which was like 3-4 years ago. He's having his best season so far. Just scored this weekend, I believe. His form is great. El Chino Huerta got the call up, and he just scored today. He made the move from Pumas to Belgium and has found himself a home there, which I think is really good. Santi Jimenez making the move from Feyenoord to AC Milan, isn't scoring as many goals as you would hope, but still is playing in a tough league where he's still getting that opportunity to score and be an impactful player. Julian Quiñones is in incredible form. He's a top 3 scorer, I believe, in Saudi Arabia, behind, I think it's Ronaldo and Benzema. I want to say Ronaldo and Benzema, but he is a top 3 scorer, double-digit scorer for, Lord help me here,
Al-Qadsia.
Thank you. Thank you. Those players, I say, are the big ones, right? Because it's probably out of those players that we will see a front 3. The other call-ups were Alexis Vega, Roberto Alvarado from Chivas, and Efrain Alvarez getting the call-up from Tijuana. He's been solid in the past year. I think I saw that he has 5 goals, 5 assists over like 30 matches in La Liga. That's good by Liga MX standards. and he's like 21 years old, so it's cool to see him get called up. I think the offense is the most exciting thing that we have to offer here, because when you look at the rest of the team, especially the midfield, it is looking as grim as it has ever looked when you compare it to a team of Canada's caliber. So the reason I highlight the offense is because when you look at the midfield, for how excited I get about the offense, I get even more depressed about that midfield, man. Edson Alvarez is back, and he's going to try his best, but Luis Romo, Charlie Rodriguez, Eric Lira, the inconsistent Orbelin Pineda, and then Luis Chavez, it's just not... It's not anywhere near Canada's midfield, bro. It's just not. And if we get by Canada, it'll be by us having that home field advantage, finding that Mexican way, that Mexican fight, and just beating them off of, I don't know, chaos, excitement, just random. It won't be by outplaying our opponent, I believe. Hopefully I get proven wrong. But I think Canada wins this matchup as the better team going into it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Canada are the favorites in this matchup. But I need Mexico to win. I need them to win to prove to themselves that they can actually win a high-intensity, important match. They have the home field advantage, basically, as they're playing in LA. And Aguirre, as you noted, has been trying to find this identity. Let's find it right here, right now, a year out from the World Cup. I do think that if Mexico can start winning these really big matches, that they'll be on the perfect trajectory for everyone to be in form from a chemistry perspective come World Cup time. There was a time when I thought there was just absolutely no way Mexico would figure this out by 2026. But since Aguirre has come in, I do think there's opportunity. And when I look at this squad, there are some golden nuggets here and there that have really surprised me. I think, honestly, Luis Malagon, damn good keeper. I'm surprised that he's been able to really shine in Ochoa's absence, but I still wonder, is Ochoa going to be the keeper at the World Cup?
He didn't get the call this time, so...
The reasoning was weird, though. They said he didn't get the call up because he's in a relegation battle in Portugal, so they wanted him to stay. So they're still talking to Ochoa, which is interesting. But the center backs, I would actually say... Loki is Mexico's highlights here, man. Montes and Vasquez, really, really good. And when you go out wide, you don't lose that much quality either. If you play Gallardo, for example, maybe you play Huescas or Israel Reyes on the right side. So the back line of Mexico, and they kind of showed it at the Copa America, they're here to fight. And they're here to keep games tight. That is what has really surprised me about Mexico, is that even if their midfield and offense is not showing up, their defense is keeping them in games. It's why I think they'll be able to put up a good fight against this better Canadian side. Up top, you already said it. I don't really need to add much. Jimenez is in great form. Raul specifically. Santi's actually in good goal-scoring form too. He could come off the bench. But Quiñones has to start, in my opinion. If Aguirre doesn't start Quiñones, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. I really don't know. On the right side, you can have your pick. Vega's in good form with Toluca. Gino Huerta has had really good transition from Pumas over to Belgium. So that'll be a really good point. You could have him in rotation, for example. Yes, the midfield is weak. But I think the midfield will always be weak going into the World Cup. I don't think it's going to change.
That's not good, bro.
It's not good.
It's not enough.
But what you can do is shore the defense and shore up the offense, because a year ago, I had no faith in Mexico's offense. But cut to now, March 2025, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh shit.
Maybe.
Raul, he can do something now. Yeah. He can actually create. He's more dynamic than Santi. On the left-hand side, if Quiñones is playing, he's the X factor. He can create by himself. And if you have Chino or Vega kind of just popping off randomly, I think that's the liability side. But hey, maybe you get something. I did not think that would be possible a year ago. So now I need it to work. I need it to end in something. Let's prove it here. Let's beat Canada, but I need it to happen, because if not, then this Mexico side is no better than a year ago.
Well, here's what I have to see for this team is tough, because it hasn't been seen at club level, honestly. Yes, all these offensive players are going off the way I highlighted. But you're right. I think the identity that we're seeing be built from Mexico is a defensive one first, bro. It's a big part for why I think Aguirre actually got hired. It wasn't for his experience with Mexico prior. It's the fact that he's a more defensive-minded coach, and he's very good at becoming compact and then countering or sending long balls up top and having that clinical finisher up there for you to get that 1-0 result. That's where I get questionable for Mexico is, do we have clinical international finishers.
Yeah.
Santi hasn't been that for us, man. Raul Jimenez,
Opposite.
On and off. But at club level, he's great right now. And the wingers are erratic, man. Like, despite how good they're doing, they are erratic. And I think that's what scares me the most. That's what I'm most worried about, is seeing if we have that clinical factor, because I do believe the defense will show up for us. I have no doubt about that, because we've seen that already. But I wish that we had a stronger midfield to help support that defense and also to facilitate the offense. Because we don't, I think we're going to end up seeing the Mexican side that doesn't generate a lot of opportunities and ends up relying on 1 or 2 chances throughout every match in the hopes of knocking those in to win the game. I just don't know if I can trust these guys right now to do that. That's my worry, especially against a Canadian team that I think will possess the ball more against us and will be generating a lot of opportunities more constantly.
Oh, yeah. Again, on paper, Canada's the better side, and they'll probably win it, but Mexico have to do something to turn the tide. This is the opportunity. We don't get that many, CONCACAF in general, do not get that many competitive matches. Mexico have to prove that they're on par with Canada and the USA. They've been building slowly, starting with the Copa America and then with Aguirre coming in. Let's continue building. That's what I'm saying, is they're not there yet. I'm hoping they will be, but it has to start somewhere.
No, but you're right. If we do end up winning this game, what that does for us is like, don't make me envision that. All right?
Well, let's wait a couple days. We'll get there.
For the first time, I'm trying to be pessimistic about this team, because if you watch the show, I've been the most optimistic dude. But don't make me imagine things, man. Because if we win this game, that means that means something new for the Mexican national team.
It means something new.
It means something new.
Exactly.
Don't point at me like that, man.
It's right there. It's right there.
I
think the game will be tight.
I need to see it.
You do need to see it. You know what's crazy though is, if you're a Mexican midfielder playing in Liga MX, play your goddamn heart out, because the midfield positions are wide open. There's a sign on every single club that says Mexico looking for midfielders, and no one's taking it, man.
No one, man.
Like, we just end up calling the same guys, Chavez, Romo, Charlie Rodriguez, and while they do fill the role as best as they can, I just wish someone would just play as good as they could. And I'd be trying crazy
That's
things.
what I'm saying.
I'd be trying like through balls out my ass, man.
Dude, fuck it if they don't work, man. For me, it's the style. It's the style. Like, there should be. Just imagine you're Brazilian for 90 minutes every weekend and just go off. Try your best. Send the craziest passes. Be the bootleg Bruno Fernandes and just try crazy shit, man. And maybe I would love to see us call up like a creative, 18 Mexican that is just cooking in Liga MX.
Just going off. And you'll be playing 3 to 5 matches in Mexico at the World Cup. You're home. The opportunity here to go off for the national team's unreal. So show up.
But that's why I'm critical, man, because even looking at the form of our midfield, it's the opposite of defense and offense.
The opposite.
Edson is not having the best year right now. Luis Chavez has got that free kick tax going for him and has been sent off to Russia.
Yeah.
And the rest, Eric Lira gained opportunity. He's just recently got into the squad.
And I would say he's trends defensive. So
Luis Romo as well, trends defensive, and we know what he is. Charlie Rodriguez, come on, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, he's your runner. He's your bootleg the ball. He runs hard, man. He runs hard.
It's just it's so dire right now. I can't instill my trust on a team that has a midfield like that. That's where I stand. That's why I'm going Canada, because if we talk about what it means for Mexico to win this matchup, what it means for Canada is massive, man. It's massive. The opportunity is there. You go into the final with confidence. They've been to the final before, I believe, but they got completely dominated by the U.S. I think they lost 2-0.
Yeah.
And it was so clear that the U.S. was there to win, and that Canadian side was so limited. Yeah. This will be the first time, if they make it to that final, where I think they'll go into it potentially as favorites, or at the very least having the most momentum that we've ever seen them have. It's a very exciting time for the Canadians, and I think a lot of Canadians will be watching this video because they love hearing their team be talked about. It's a good time to be Canadian right now. It is. Well, is it politically? I don't know. But it's a good time in the football world. It's a good time. And I want to see it on display.
I want to see it too. So from a neutral perspective, I actually hope Canada win. My heart says I want Mexico to win so they can have a good showing at the World Cup. They need to start now. But for Canada I'm amazed at how quickly they've turned it around, man. Because the 2022 World Cup exit was so bad that their entire squad was just shook. They were like, "Wait, are we even good?" And it showed for like a good year. They couldn't play football anymore.
No.
And I completely counted Canada out as a team in CONCACAF. And all of a sudden, they might be the best team in CONCACAF. All of a sudden. So if they beat Mexico, you just said they'll have the momentum to beat the USA and prove that they are the best team in CONCACAF a year out from the World Cup, where they too will be hosting games in their home country. It's a beautiful time for them.
USA-Panama is the next semifinal matchup. Your beloved USA is back on the biggest stage since the Copa America debacle. What do you envision for your beloved U.S. squad against a Panamanian team that has changed a lot in the past year?
And I'm going to start with Panama here because I just see them as very weak going into this match. I'll start with the positives, though. You know what's great for Panama is for over 2 years now, they have been consistently the fourth best team in CONCACAF. And that is honestly hard to do for any fourth best team side because consistency just doesn't exist outside the top three in CONCACAF. It doesn't exist. Jamaica have tried to be that next best team. They've dramatically failed. Costa Rica was that best fourth team, but they've been really weird for the last like 4 or 5 years. But it's been Panama, man. It's been Panama who have really come to that forefront and have challenged Canada, Mexico, and the USA to try to crack that top three. And they've been probing at it. They've been poking it.
They've been third at certain points
for 2 straight years. And here they are yet again after beating Costa Rica in the play-in to try to crack into the top three. I think what's tough for them, though, is that they just haven't figured it out. They've had so many opportunities, Nations League appearances, Gold Cup as well, Copa America. They've tried. But at a certain point, Panama meet their ceiling and they can't break past it. And I just don't see that changing against this USA side, especially because Panama are missing Michael Murillo, the Marseille starlet. He's injured. And the Mazatlan star winger, Edgar Bárcenas, also injured. Those are two of your best players, man.
Big names.
Two of your best players out. So for me, that's just too much for Panama to try and cover. So I think even if the USA don't play that well, I think they'll be able to figure it out. USA can't get complacent, but for Panama going into this, just happy to be here. See if you can get through without your star players. And yeah, just use this matchup for preparation for the World Cup because ultimately you still want to qualify.
Absolutely. And yeah, we saw it even at the Copa America. They needed that red card for Timothy Weah to then flip the result after going down 1-0 at one point, even with that red card. I think this team should just look to make this game tight against a U.S. squad that is still figuring itself out against Pochettino. It's probably the best that they could hope for is make it a tight game and maybe get a surprise goal. I think outside of that, I don't think I envision Panama making it past this game or being as feisty as I've seen them in past Nations League iterations. So I would say that I have them losing this matchup, and then I also would have them losing the third place game because that's a game that happens in this tournament. USA, though.
For the USA, man, I just need to see who Poch selects. I need to see what the style is, bro, because we've only gotten that one matchup against Jamaica, 2 legs against Jamaica under Poch's reign for competitive for competitive matches, man. So I need to see how does Poch really play where there's silverware on the line. Panama should be beatable. If we lose to Panama, man, then Poch low-key might get Diego Cocad. He might be gone, bro. If we lose to Panama again, that just cannot happen.
He will.
It can't happen. So let's say we win that game, we go to the final. Whether it's against Canada or Mexico, I just need to see how Poch sets out the 11. I need to see which center backs he pairs together because there's so many options now. You have Tim Ream, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Austin Trussey, Chris Richards, all playing in Europe. Ream now coming in Charlotte, but all players that right now, I don't know if I could really pick who's the best center back out of those 4 guys. So I think that's a big question that Poch needs to answer. Looking at the midfield, obviously it'll be McKinney. Tyler Adams has come back to form with Bournemouth. What does his performances look like coming back to the United States? Does he even get the start given that he hasn't played in a while for the USA? That's another question. Who's that third midfielder? Is it Musa? Is it Cardoso? Is it Tanner Tessman? Is it Gio Reyna?
No.
There's so many players that Poch could pick. I need to see what Poch's style is like under the red, white, and blue. I need to see it because we really just haven't gotten it tested. And up top, it'll be really interesting because, dude, the no Haji Wright, no Folarin Balogun, no Ricardo Pepi. I guess it's going to be Josh Sargent.
It's Sargent time?
I guess it's going to be Sargent. So what's that going to look like?
So interesting.
Alongside Pulisic, obviously the other side should be Weah, but there's a lot of questions from a squad selection perspective that I don't know who Poch is going to pick. So for me, this is about discovering who this USA side is under Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah, and can they make that discovery quick enough to find a formidable 11 that goes on to win the Nations League for the fourth time in a row?
Yeah.
I think that's why this is such a golden opportunity for a team like Canada, because if they meet up with the U.S. team that is still figuring itself out in that final, given the momentum and the way that they know themselves, Canada could take advantage of that potentially. It also matters to me how they play against this Panamanian team. They're clearly the weaker side against the USA squad. I want to see them at least be able to command the game and dictate the pace of it and control it, dominate it, showcase that you do have the better players and that regardless of the formation or who's playing, you should be able to win that game formidably, in my opinion. They announced today Cardoso's out. Cardoso's out.
So, again?
Yeah.
Damn, man.
He was injured last time, too.
He's just like Sargent. Every time there's a chance to play for the USA, they get injured.
Yeah, he's out.
God.
So that limits your midfield options even more now.
Okay.
So worth noting, too. The Sargent experience, I think, is actually one that I'm excited for.
Yeah.
I don't think we've fully seen it in a competitive setting like this. Pulisic, Sargent, and Weah.
Seriously, yeah. I'm just interested to see how Pochettino lines up these guys, man. I think there's so many different iterations he could pick from now at this point. We obviously have our core players, which is great, but I just want to see what these fringe players look like, given that these spots are up for grabs with the World Cup a year out. I need to see how we play. Let's get past Panama, and then it's going to be a hell of a final in LA against Canada or Mexico. It's going to be a great final.
And that's why I think this is important for the USA mentally. After what they went through in the summer, I think they hit a big low just for all the players and the federation. Pochettino comes in, Berhalter out. They need an upper. They need an upper now to really give hope and optimism to this team. I know winning the CONCACAF Nations League doesn't mean much, but I think for the players specifically, it would mean a lot. Even if it is the fourth one in a row at this point, it'll potentially be against the best opponent that a USA team has faced in the Nations League if it ends up being this on-fire Canadian team. Yeah. So I think there'd be a good weight to it if they end up winning this trophy.
As a fan, just as a pure fan of this USA side, my beautiful, beautiful country, I need to see passion. I need to see sweat, blood, tears. I need their hearts on their sleeves. I need Tyler Adams nearly breaking shins out there, man. I need them to be running for 90 straight minutes. That's what I want to see, because that Copa America loss was just so devastating. We didn't play our best. We didn't try our best. That's what really hurt me. So that's what I need to see from this USA side under our new boss. Let's give 110% against Panama, against the finalists. Let's prove that we still are the best, even though we're going through a shaky period. I just want to see pure passion, pure grit, pure aggression from this USA side in these two matches.
USA defeats Panama, yes.
USA defeats Panama.
Canada defeats Mexico, yes.
Yes, yes. But I do. I'm going to be cheering for Mexico.
Yes. Oh, well, yeah.
I'm going to be cheering for Mexico, bro.
Don't make it seem like I won't be doing that.
I don't know, man.
No.
I don't know, man.
You don't know, man. What do you mean, man? Canada's winning the matchup, but I'm going to give everything to Mexico. I'm going to give them everything, bro. Canada.
How much would you say Canada beats Mexico, by the way? Are you saying like 60-40? Are you saying like 75-25? 90-10? Is that what you're saying? You're saying Mexico has a 10% chance?
Nah, it's 60-40.
Okay.
60-40.
That's where I have it.
Yeah.
60-40. I have it 60-40.
60-40. Canada versus USA final. Make your pick.
If USA gets to the final, we're winning. I don't care who we're playing. I do not care who we're playing. So if Mexico gets there, USA wins. Canada gets there, USA wins. USA's winning the final if we get there. Somehow if there's a shock win, obviously,
Canada's winning. Canada's winning.
Oh, dude, that'd be insane.
Canada's winning.
That would be insane.
Yeah, I'd be great for the Canadian Federation, for the fans. It'd be beautiful. Canada's winning. It's on paper to me. I just see this as one of the best versions of Canada versus one of the most questionable of the USA. And I think Canada and Jesse Marsh specifically get a victory against the mighty USA on U.S. soil to become the first non-U.S. winners of the CONCACAF Nations League.
You know what? I wish, based off of the finalists or something, or some sort of rotation, Canada would host finals.
Oh, imagine, man.
Imagine.
That'd be nice.
Dude, especially for Canada, because there's just not a lot of Canadians in the States,
Come on, man.
They're always playing a road game.
Always.
Always.
It would mean something to them if they win the trophy then, because they are always at a disadvantage when it comes to home stadiums.
Yeah.
And I want to see it, man. I want to see it. And
Me too. I do want to see it. From a neutral perspective, to see Jesse Marsh and Canada beat the USA in a final, and they would beat Mexico along the way. God, it'd be a hell of a journey, and it'd be so deserved. It would be so deserved if they pull it off.
But if the USA defeats Canada to win their 4th straight title, then it just... Yeah, it's
We're the Madrid of CONCACAF.
Okay, I was gonna say Lakers, but all right. Yeah, it means that even when there is an opponent that we deem as potentially worthy, the USA, even at their most questionable, can still win this mini tournament.
Exactly.
And take of that what you will. Take of that what you will. That's how I'm gonna end that, folks. Let us know, who do you have winning the CONCACAF Nations League? I think that's all I got to talk about today, man.
I think so,
I think we caught up on all the major stuff.
I think so.
Guys, let us know down below if we missed any big storylines, any big headlines in the past month. We are back, and we'll be back covering international football this week, starting with the CONCACAF Nations League. Till next time, peace.